Welcome to Level Sync, a Final Fantasy XI podcast with your hosts, DA Soccer, Caladrius, Lost Time Lord, and Quetch.
And welcome everybody to the second episode of Level Sync Podcast, the Final Fantasy XI Horizon podcast. I'm Icy Caladrius, and I'm joined by DA Soccer.
Hey, what's up, Unicorn server?
Lost Time Lord.
What's going on, friends? Hey.
And Quetch.
Hey, everybody.
And this week, we're just going to kind of do a little rundown on what we did this week and story progression, things like that. And maybe touch a little bit on 1.1, what we think is going to happen with that update. So for myself this week, I helped multiple people with their AF. I helped Sea Tiger with his full white mage AF.
Oh man, it's Sea Tiger. I call him Seat all the time because I shorten everybody's name.
It is Sea Tiger.
My bad.
But I also helped Zorikano with his Bard AF. He's only missing 2 more pieces. We're going to work on that later. I got all the way to 2-5 in COP.
Ooh, sick.
Promptly got destroyed by the mammoths.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask which one that was. That was a mammoth fight.
Yeah.
They wrecked you said?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no mercy. We did not have the right party set up for that.
That can be a tough fight. That can be a tough fight if you don't have the right setup. Those things run around, and if you don't have a way to CCM or kite them, they will wreck your day. They will end your shit.
I'm going to be pulling notes from you guys left and right on that.
Yeah.
It was not a good time.
Did you guys bring like the yellow liquids or whatever? I think we used one of them maybe.
They're very helpful.
Yeah, we each had one yellow liquid, but we didn't have anybody to kite, so I was face tanking all 3 mammoths at the same time.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you can blood sink those things.
Oh,
And we managed to get one mammoth like almost down, and then I went down, and then everybody else went down. It was not a good time.
Yeah,
That's not going to work.
we kited.
We're going to
pretty much the whole
revisit
time.
that. And then I got the 62 Paladin this week. And that's about it for me. What'd you do, DA?
I was on vacation for quite a bit, so I didn't get much time to actually play this week, but I ended up going hard yesterday. I had a 14-hour stream. I made over 100k gil, and I got 21 levels, all in Gelsba Outpost. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Gelsba Outpost. I got my Samurai from 10 to 15, my Dragoon from 10 to 15, my Summoner from 10 to 15, my Ninja from 10 to 15, and my White Mage, I went ahead and got it to 15, but it was only 14. So that's why I had 21 levels in that 14-hour span. Now, honestly, it was about 10 hours, but I streamed for about 14 on there. But I made 100k gil, because if you get a perfect rotation, there's a little spot, little train that you can go through. I was inviting people left and right, dropping people when I had one guy go to work and come back and then rejoin the party. But it is phenomenal leveling spot. I'm getting everything, as you know from the last cast on here, episode 1. I had 269 levels. I have now, I think I'm right at 300, or I'm right below 300. And the reason I'm getting everything to 15 is because I'm ready to fully embrace the dunes. I'm going to go in with every job at 15, and I'm going to set my home point and live in the dunes. That time is coming, but that's what I did this week. I didn't, like I said, have much time playing, but I had to hit it hard, and I was so happy with the amount of crystals and money I made while doing that.
And then something else happened with you outside of the game this week.
Yeah. I mean, I got a new, I got a ring, but it didn't drop to me. It actually dropped to my now fiance. I actually was in Hawaii for a week for a work trip that I won, and I ended up giving her a wonderful ring, and she said yes. And I don't remember what I said when I proposed because she thought I didn't eat that day. I was shaking. But it was an amazing trip. Yes, I don't swim. Yes, I don't tan. But I had an amazing time in Hawaii. I came back with a fiance. So, fiance, 21 levels, and 100k gil. It was a damn good week for me.
Congratulations to you, DA.
Yeah.
We're all very happy for you. That is awesome. Congratulations.
And you're
Hopefully everything works out.
you're committing to being in the dunes for a while, you know, similar to the way you commit to marriage.
Yes,
Long
those
term.
two things
And-
are very closely related. Yes.
Just goes for that long term, that long grind, and it's just, you got to get through it. You got to get through it.
He's a masochist, is what it is.
Clearly. Well, I mean, but the one good thing about waiting until 15 to go into the dunes is that you only have to be there for like 5 levels, and then if you're following the old school like leveling progression of places, like you'll be in Quiffum at level 20, right? And then you just set your home point in Juneau, and you're like, fuck it, like that's just where I'm gonna be.
Perfect. I'm trying to be able to push one job up there, but there's too many people that want to play the one tank job that we have in this game right now. And it's saturated market. And because of it, I'm not getting experience on my paladin. So honestly, my highest level is still 46. Haven't progressed it.
See, that blows my mind, man, because I have been trying to level my ranger, who's 42 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like whenever I try to make a party, the one thing I can never fucking find is a paladin. Like
Wow.
and I won't start, like, here's the way I make a party. So here's like little insight into my party making process. If I can find a tank, then I will fill in the rest of the slots. Until I find a tank, I don't waste anyone's time. So like looking for a paladin, especially at like that level, I always have a hard time. So I don't know, maybe we need to hook up.
That sounded dirty, but I accept. I was actually looking for group on Paladin for 15 minutes before I was like, screw this. I'm going to go level my low-level jobs and get them caught up. And you can ask
15 minutes?
15 minutes on Paladin.
No, not 15 minutes.
No, I was bored. I was following my Galka. I told you about poor Juno. But if you ask,
Cries and thief.
Cal can speak to this about the Paladin oversaturation when it gets to the high, I'd say mid 50s and higher. Cal,
Yeah, I've waited for an hour before for a party.
It's
Legitimately,
got to be the
at
time that
60.
you're playing. It's got to be because of the time. Like later at night when I'm on and doing stuff, like Paladin is just nowhere to be found.
I just have a bad reputation already. It's okay.
Like that dickhead in charge of Goodwill. We don't want anything to do with him.
So moving on to LTL, what'd you do this week?
Well, since the last time we saw each other, and I don't want to spoil too much about a conversation we're going to be having later, but I will say this. I got my Raja's ring, the level 35 awesome goodness that I got. There's another ring that, people will be like, but you're a summoner. You should have gotten this ring. And I'm like, that ring sucks for a summoner, like real bad. Like if I was going to be leveling red mage or black mage, or maybe even a white mage, I'd be like, okay, that would make sense. But so I chose the Raja's ring. Since last we spoke, I've killed Jormungand a couple of times. Still didn't get the stupid fucking mercurial pole, 2 to 5 hits on occasion. Other than that, I haven't been playing a ton. Took a couple of mental health days, but not a ton of stuff other than that. What's up? You want to ask a question?
Didn't they adjust that ring or those rings? They adjusted the other 2 rings.
They adjusted the other 2,
but it's still not
the Raja's ring.
Right.
Raja's ring is untouched because Raja's ring is king and has always been king.
Yeah.
The other one,
Sattva.
I forget one of them. They added Enmity to.
Mm-hmm.
Or Enmity minus or something, and then the other one, I forget what they added, but even after seeing what it was, I was just, it doesn't make any sense. Like, stats don't matter for a summoner.
I can
that was going to go ahead. Question.
I was going to say I can clear
Stats
this up
don't
real
matter.
quick because I was looking at them today and showing them to my chat and stuff.
Mhm.
The Thomas went from Enmity -3 to Enmity -5, and they added 5 magic accuracy. So like LTL you're saying is like it's not great for summoner because you're not making use of the enmity or the magic accuracy really. Yeah. And the Sattva, the tank ring, they added 2 enmity, so it's now +5. It used to be +3, and they added 5 DT, straight -5 DT.
Which is nice. I mean, it's kind of like a mini defending ring, and it's good if you're like careering a tank. But I knew I was leveling because I'm leveling Ranger. Like I have a level 42 Ranger, as I mentioned, and Raj's ring is just, I mean, it's hard to beat it. And let's be honest, like if I don't like it or I turn out like, oh, I don't want it, all I got to do is drop the damn thing and go back to the Shepherd's, the Marble Bridge or whatever, and get a new one.
So they added the Rajas is an A and the other 2 were D's, but they bumped them to C's, but it still doesn't even touch it.
Yeah,
I feel you.
Yeah, Rajas is still king.
It really is. It's in terms of like adding DPS to a DPS job, it's huge. But the other 2 changes to the rings make them more than reasonable. Like you picked
Yeah.
the Thomas as a mage main back in the day, but adding 5 magic accuracy to that is like makes you feel good about taking it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you know, and let's be honest with each other. Blue Mage will be here soon, and what is a Blue Mage without a Raja's ring? So I feel like I'm making choices for the future, guys. It's important to make these choices. But that was my
LTL
week.
and his
Week
damn
in
blue
LTL.
mage. All right, Coach, what were you up to this week?
I actually got my ring today as well.
Nice.
Picked Raja's.
And what? Oh, there you go. There it
Yeah,
is.
I mean, as a thief main, like I had to. I honestly I've been eyeing the Sattva as well. I'm just not a fan. Like I like paladins in my group, but I'm not like wanting to play the job. And then like even Ninja is like 50-50 on whether Rajas is better or Sattva is better. But like in any fight where I'm going to be like taking damage or taking heat and possibly dying, like that 5% DT even on a melee job is really solid, along with like 30 health or whatever it is, 30-40 health. But I mean, I had a lot of like milestones this week. I got my alchemy apron. I hit 99 on alchemy as well.
Congratulations. That is no small feat.
Did you think that Alchemy apron was 80k and they get sorely disappointed?
Okay. I actually did, but for a weird reason. So I had bought the Caduceus first. I just needed the +1 to like bridge a level gap or something. And that was 80k. And then I was saving for my apron and I got to 80k. I'm like, today's the day I'm going to get my apron, guys. Didn't even think because for some reason I thought it might have been the same price as the Caduceus. Went to go buy it and then I had to wait like another week. But yeah, picked up my apron. Also, I hit 40 chocobo digging.
Jeez, that's big. That's big. I'm
Thank
gonna be
you.
coming to you for ores in a couple months.
In a couple of months, yeah.
Quetch. Dig up any light ores, big boy.
So for clarity on that, do you guys know Cal and DA that you at 60 you can dig up elemental ores with digging.
Yeah, I just don't have the patience to level it.
Yeah, it's about the same as my cooking skill, and you saw how many orange juices I was breaking. So,
but that's cool though. So I got that at the moment on Horizon. It gives you like some extra fatigue per day, basically. But really, it's the stretch from like 30 to 60 is like just digging daily and earning items, and then eventually you get to ores.
Yeah, but it's like 2 hours of digging a day.
At first. From 0 to 10, it's like seriously, it's like an hour and 45. And then from like, so what happens is at 10, the speed between your digs decreases from like 16 seconds to like 12, I think maybe. And anyway, so it's faster from 10 to 20, and then from 20 to 30, and then at 30 is the fastest. So I spend maybe 40 minutes, 45 minutes a day digging to fatigue. Anyway,
That's not bad. It's just that initial stretch.
it's so awful. Other than that, I unlocked my second job I'm planning on playing to 75, is probably going to be Summoner. I am this close to making the decision. I've already unlocked the job since last time we all talked, and I've unlocked Leviathan so far, and I have all of my forks. I wish, LTL, I'd taken your advice sooner on getting my fame up, because I got Summoner unlocked and was like, okay, let me go do the fame thing now. And it was like a grind, like going to every place and doing all the things.
I tried to tell you.
Yeah.
I tried to tell you. I tried to warn you. You want to listen to LTL.
So that's cool. So I got that planned for like this coming week since we finished COP and got my ring today. Next week will be more picking up my summons, working on Summoner a little bit. And other than that, I did my first Limbus. The only other thing I wanted to bring up was I did my first Limbus run. Limbus is my favorite content from COP era, and honestly, it's not really something you do in retail, so it's something I've been wanting to do for so long again, and just have that experience of going in with 6 and just fighting all these like awesome like rooms where you go in and you have a time limit and you get like AF upgrade items and stuff. It's really fun, and we had a good first run.
I've been running that as well. They just recently unlocked Omega, which was broken for a long time, so you can actually get your Omam gear as a thief. That's got to be really interesting for you.
We did a Polygon. Yeah.
Oh, okay. There's some good pieces in the what is this set? The Nashira. I forget how do you pronounce that. For Summoner, there's a couple of pieces that are kind of useful, but I'm more interested in like the rings basically in the earrings, like what is a blue mage without a brutal earring? And what, I want the loquacious earring and all of that kind of stuff. But those, like, the amount of ABCs you need is just absurd. Absurd.
Yeah, we got 40 on our first run, so it's going to be a while.
Are you splitting them even? Like, you have 6 people. Are you doing like the split at the end?
Well, our 6 are pretty close group, so we're thinking about just funneling like a piece of gear to like an earring to each player. But also, we might just kind of like sell them at first to help pay for Cosmo cleanses for the whole group. So
That
we're
is
kind
a
of
great idea.
yeah, we're kind of on the fence about the 2 right now.
That 50K cost for the soap is just
Yeah.
it hurts the soul. It hurts the soul.
300K per run over the course of all 6 of us. So.
Mm-hmm.
I was
TA.
happy to make 100K in Gelsbo with my crystals. You mentioned Summoner, and I had to bring it back up from the first one. Cal, you ever get that fire?
No, I haven't been on when there was fire weather. And
Oh,
when
dude.
I was on, and I was tanking for a party, and somebody's like, "Ooh, fire weather," and we had just started, and I'm like, "Shit. Well, I guess I'm not getting that done."
I think it's like the season for it right now because I'm seeing it in Rabao and Desert a lot because I'm out there digging. So I'll hit you up next time because I've been seeing them.
I think it's summertime in game right now.
That's probably why.
If you see it, send me a tell.
All right,
I
dude.
will go get it.
Fire
So that
weather behind
LTL can
DA.
laugh.
Yes. I can't wait to see my little baby summoners getting all grown up.
A Galkin summoner at that. It'll be entertaining.
Yeah, you're gonna hate life.
With his 4 MP.
Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah,
have like 6 MP the whole time, and you're gonna be able to get off like 1 poison nails and be like, okay, guys, I gotta sit down for 45 minutes to refresh.
I would say I have astral rings, but it's not going to help on summoner.
Well, astral rings would actually be great for you. Circuit ring would be good, but that's kind of absurdly priced. There are pieces of gear that are good, like the astral earring, which is another like 3 or 4 million gil piece. But there are pieces, since you'll have such a high HP pool, that you can, use your HP to leverage against your MP. But you need those specific pieces of gear.
Yeah, summoner's a ways off for me. I got Bard and Dragoon to do first, and then I'll worry about summoner. That kind of covers everybody's experience. I mean, we even talked about how all 3 of us, me, LTL, and Quetch, are progressing in storylines, and DA's just kind of there. But
He hasn't even thought about story yet. You did Promathia, didn't you?
Well,
You did one of them?
let me clarify. When I first started playing the game, all I did was focus on leveling, and I never did the missions. So when I ended up doing the missions, most of the time I kind of got pushed through them and didn't care. It was click, 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 go, 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 do this, let me carry you through that fight, and I just went through them quick. So this time I am getting the levels, but I'm wanting to slow grind and savor this steak because I swallowed it whole last time. I'm currently, if we're diving into the mission side of things, I take it on there, right? I am ZM1, so I haven't even started Zlart missions just yet, which I believe that's just like the first 4 are just cutscenes. So I haven't even started that. But I am rank 6, and I want to give a full-on shout out to getting carried in that fight to Sage, 75 Dark Knight, who I met in the dunes of the first time to the dunes on Horizon. It was like week 1, and ended up being an amazing paladin before I even met Cal. And he ended up just going hard. He saw us getting ready to do Shadow Lord, and he's like, "You guys are a little light there. You want some help?" So he ended up helping us out and running it twice, be able to get both our groups that we went up top with to go through. It was a little risky, because he was a 75 dark, and it rotates its from physical to magical immunities. So it was a little bit difficult, but shout out to Sage. Incredibly cool dude and very helpful. He just saw us and was like, I'm down to help. But rank 6, I at least have that. I wanted to get a little bit more storage space on there. And COP, I need 1 cutscene to finish 2-3, which is Distant Beliefs. And that's all I'm missing. And then I'm going to be in Eternal Memories 2-4, which I think that's just cutscenes and then a fight at 2-5, if I'm not mistaken.
2-5 is the Mammoth fight.
That one.
Yeah.
So I'm right behind Cal when it comes to that, but I'm just picking it up as I see it, as long as my job is adequate for it. But I did do the aqueducts, which I was very happy about because I got my with LTL talking about the Blue Mage, prepping for that in the future. I did get my Thief/Dancer panties, Sublinker, ready to go with the haste plus 4% on there. I haven't done the quest yet because you need AF and you got to be level 50 to do AF, and I'm only 46. But I have it prepped, ready to go. I do want to go back and get the Paladin one as well, which is for that body piece. Parade, what is it? Cuirass, the gold chest piece.
The parade curse, yeah.
Yeah, because then I'll be able to give you back some of your gear, Cal, so I don't feel guilty about taking your gear all the time.
Sell it, man. Just sell it.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see. I'm always poor. I was gonna be the nice guy and be like, no, I need the money. But no, I'm not that far behind, but I'm not focusing on it. I'm just taking my time with it.
Yeah, and as you know, we have a static group, so we've been kind of progressing along a little bit quicker than everybody else. But till that Mammoth fight, I still got PTSD, man.
Was it the
that was a lot of damage.
Was it the Agas that were getting you? I feel like we had issues with the magic in that fight.
Well, conveniently, 2 of them swapped to Black Mage, and
Yep.
one of them swapped to Dragoon, which does the conal directional damage. And so I was getting just Aga to death, basically. They were only physically hitting me for like 20 damage a hit, but the Agas are what pretty much killed us. But we're gonna go in a little different this next time. We're gonna go in, with a Red Mage and a Beastmaster added, just to help out a little bit.
Get that Beastmaster kiting. Like,
I heard that.
You are the kiter. And you have that Red Mage throw gravity on there. I don't remember what level that is, but you can make life a lot easier for yourself that way. Yeah.
The tactic is to gravity it with a Red Mage and drag the other one out, the Epsilon, and drag it out with a Red Mage and then fight the other 2. But
Solid plan.
You guys are already done with COP, so you're way ahead of me and DA.
Yeah, I got started early. My girlfriend actually dragged me in to a group. Well, I say drag, but it's not like it was reluctant. She made a group and she kind of like put it all together, and we did it every Sunday, and then we started doing it Sundays and Wednesdays, but it still took like a month and a half. It's like COP is pretty much, I mean, aside from Wings of the Goddess, I think one of the longest storylines in the game, and there are so many parts. I love the story, I love COP, but oh my god, did I want to like die so many times during the course of that. I mean, I don't want, you guys have done this before, so it's not like it's spoilers or anything, but I was watching Quetch a little bit. I think it was yesterday or the day before when he was doing the quest with the quasi-lumens.
Oh, the quasi-lumen escort?
You. Yeah, the escort was the word I was looking for. That was escaping my brain. But that quest can eat my butt. Like, I hate that quest so much. It is so the worst. And like, Quetch, I have to ask you this. So like when you were doing like the Tenzin path, for example, did you have a group that you were able to pay? Like you went into like Fei-Yin or whatever, or wherever it is, and you died and they tractored you through the wall and you skipped the entirety of those doors?
So actually, I released a video on my channel last week, basically of our Tenzin Soja portion, because pretty early in, we actually had a tactic that was working for us. So for the listeners who don't know, basically in this part of the mission on Horizon, we think it's like an entity limit issue where basically mobs don't spawn for everybody. So you can have it where like some people can see the mobs and some people can't, and sometimes the important people can't. So the mobs can just like beat on somebody and you can't do anything about it. And then there's like also an issue where like if you're having too much trouble and then the mobs in the previous room respawn, they can aggro you through the walls. So like this mission has been a real issue for a lot of people. We had a ranger with us, which helped us look ahead to the next room and see how many mobs should be there. But pretty early on, there was a Tonberry, and we were fighting it. Somebody had seen it, and they're like, "Oh, call for help so we don't get Tonberry hate, right?" And at that moment, we found out if you call for help on a mob in that mission, it appears on everybody's screen. It prioritizes it to your entire alliance, and ended up being like really. I mean, I wouldn't say we breezed through it, but we were able to room by room safely get to the end of the mission where. I mean, other people, even in my chat, were saying like this was way different for me. We had so many more issues. And I was actually considering murking it before that. I was like, all right, I'll just go in. Somebody kills me and tractors me or whatever, and we'll just get through this. But we decided to go ahead and end up having a decent mission.
That's amazing.
We did the 20K a person die in the corner of this room, and the guy tractors us through the wall to the elevator, and we were done.
You're
It's
done
like,
in 5 minutes.
just fuck that. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not even interested, because like they can appear at the door if you open the door, or they cannot appear. It's just, what a pain in the butt. What a
Cal, yeah, I'm
pain
gonna
in
sell
the
your
butt.
gear.
You're gonna have to pay for
He's
that
gonna need some
tractor.
money.
Yep.
I'm gonna side with you. I'm following the LTL tactic. I'm getting tractored through that damn thing
Mhm.
because I remember
Yeah.
doing that in retail, and I don't want to do it again.
No, you don't, and it's terrible. It's like, to Quetch's point, like, there's so many bugs in so many different places. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad you guys figured it out. I'm glad that like the call for help worked, but
Yeah.
no way.
I mean, we also had an alliance too, and not everybody is going to sit there or even can like shout up a whole alliance. So like, especially if you're just trying to get your static through real fast, move on to the next mission. I think getting tractored through is just as good.
I agree. So yeah, so
With
done
my
with
luck.
COP. We're both done, and I'm done. Well, I'm almost done with Xylart. I have I did Divine Might all the way through that. I have my which one do I have? The Beastly Earring, not the Supana Mimi that my Blue Mage so desperately craves, but or was it the Bushido
Well,
Mimi? I forget which one it is.
Supa doesn't have dual wield on it anymore. It has dagger skill instead. And the
Oh,
sword skill is actually on the tank earring now.
well, then maybe I've made the correct choice with my
Yeah.
Blue Mage. Because I reached out and asked a member of staff. I was like, because it says, so for Summoner, basically, whenever there's accuracy or like you're getting anything for your avatar, on the piece of gear, it will say like avatar. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
avatar and the effects that it receives. But the Beastly Earring says pet, accuracy plus 10. So there was some concern after I had gotten the ring and other people had gotten the earring that it wasn't actually, set for summoner pets. But I reached out to a member of staff who said that should be affecting summoner pets. So that extra 10 accuracy turns into something pretty decent when you're fighting some higher end level stuff. And you want those 5 hit BPs to all land, like Garuda, Predator Claw. Want all of those to land. In Dynamis today, I had a couple of Predator Claws over 1900. That was pretty nice. Pretty nice. Because they adjusted the percentage coefficient on that one and Chaotic Strike or Ramu. So now it's got like a nice set percentage for crit, and when it crits, boy, different.
I
Sit
had
down.
never seen a 75 summoner actually like damage, right?
Mhm.
And we were farming keys in Zaval Bailey's, and then we said, "Oh, we're gonna skill up." So the higher level demons that are in Zaval Bailey's, like 74 to like 78.
Yeah.
We pulled a couple of those, and I was just skilling up with them. And my buddy Levy used Ramu and did 2,500 damage. And I'm like,
Jeez.
holy! Like even our paladin's like, "Well, it's yours now." I mean, there's no getting that back. It belongs to you. It's a fun class. I'm looking forward to trying it.
So nerf summoner as soon as he gets on it, right?
Well, we'll talk about that when we get to our predictions for 1.1, because I got a few things up my sleeve for that one. I got a feeling we'll be talking about that in a few weeks.
But leading into that, LTL, what's your predictions for 1.1 for your summoner?
Oh, holy shit. Okay, so this is complex, right? So I know that like some things are critting where they shouldn't, and that's pretty obvious. I think that the biggest offender of that right now is Ifrit and Flaming Crush. I'm sure you guys have seen summoners. Well, I guess maybe you haven't until you were in Castles of All Baileys. But when Ifrit is around and he's doing Flaming Crushes, he's kicking ass. Like he can, like I can, if I'm depending on the level of mob and whatever other things I'm battling against, I can get Ifrit to do over 2,000. He averages, like, again, depending on the mob, anywhere between 1,500 2,000, can go even higher. I've seen a chaotic strike out of Ramu for like $4,000. And so I know that stuff is broken as far as some of that goes. So I welcome the change. Like if there's a math that's wrong, like for the crits and like when it's critting, let's fix it, because I don't want it to be unfair. I want it to be fixed. But there are things that I do know are broken. Like as far as like things that would help a summoner if they were fixed. The accuracy, for example, I know I've mentioned this last week, but the accuracy for blood packs is a big problem. Whether it's physical or magical accuracy, we're talking about the same thing. You want mostly physical accuracy. Most of your endgame blood packs are physical. So, you know, I know I said this last week, but I'm going to bears re-mentioning. Fighting something like Jormungand, which is, you know, right now I think the hardest mob in the game until Virtue comes out, but even still, it may be once that comes out. Like I said, if I'm going, like I'm 75, full physical merits, you know, I've got all this gear, whatever, blah blah blah. If I'm going against another 75 summoner who isn't even close to similarly geared or merited, like we're doing comparable damage, and that's not right. Like, there in retail, there came a point in a summoner's lifetime when, with the right gear and merits, you would put away your other summons or avatars, and Garuda was your go-to. Like Garuda's Predator Claws would just rip and tear through most things. You're doing huge damage, even on things like Jormungand. And as it stands right now, with all of this gear and the food that I'm using, I'm more prone to miss than to hit for big numbers. And if I do hit, it's usually falling within that same. For like Jormungand, for example, a typical blood pact will do anywhere between like 5 and 800, and 800s are kind of rare, which is good. You're still pounding out the damage, but it's just not consistent. And I honestly believe that there's something broken in the avatar accuracy, whether it's in the merits or it's in the gear. Something's not right. So my prediction for Summoner is we're going to see a reduction in those bigger numbers up front, but once you're geared and you have like the right merits, it's going to go up like it should. Exactly, DA, right? Like it needs to scale. Like it doesn't make any sense that they would just be like, okay, summoners, you're doing too much damage once every minute. Like what? Like, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Like if I'm putting out, like even if I do 1500 damage in one BP, I'm sitting on my ass. Like I have my BP timer down to like 45 seconds. So I'm sitting on my ass for 45 seconds doing literally nothing unless I have my avatar out and like just white damaging, which is just making my MP just go chonk, chonk, chonk. So I'm not interested in that. So I'm putting my avatar away. So, you know, like I said, we're going to probably see a reduction in things like, you know, Flaming Crush being right out the gate huge. But like I said, it should scale. And with the gear, with the merits, it should be better. Like the accuracy is the big problem right now. I wouldn't even dare put points into more damage for my blood packs, because I can tell you right now that when I do a multi-hit blood pack, i.e. Predator Claw or Chaotic Strike or Rush from Shiva, I know that most of those aren't hitting. And if they were, the damage would be exponentially higher. So the accuracy is the problem, even with full accuracy. So to make a long story short, the thing that I think is going to happen for Summoner is just that. We're going to see the big numbers taken off the front end, but things will scale as you have the actual.
I love that explanation, because I am not a summoner. I do not play it. I will mess around with it. Nothing special. But the way you broke that down, it definitely helps me kind of understand. It's less of a bar that goes solid across. You drop that front end a little bit, and then you can see the progression of it actually uphill. I love that breakdown on it. That's beautiful, because there should be a scale. You should feel that growth of the, It's
the way it should be. You know, like whether those numbers are as high as they are right now at the end of this isn't as important as if my hits are actually landing. That's the biggest important thing to me as a summoner right now. Somebody who now has 3 of 5 relic, and I'm lucky to, like, you know, do consistent damage to, and again, maybe Jormungand or Tiamat are not the best gauge for that. Maybe I need to go, you know, only as high as like Dynamis mobs. Like I said, I did over 1900 to one of them like twice earlier today. So maybe that's the bar that we're being judged by. But I still feel like endgame content like Jormungand, I should see consistently higher numbers than somebody who is not equally as geared or merited.
Can I ask you how Kieran looks in this regard?
Summoners obliterate Kieran.
Okay.
Like, I mean, the first time we ran Kieran, this was a long time ago now, and I don't know if it's changed since then. I haven't run Kieran again since then. But the first time we ran Kieran, I was beating every one of our black mages.
Okay.
Which shouldn't be happening at all, but it did. So I would like, black mages should be doing more damage than me. That's obvious. But we'll see. I mean, Kieran, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't done it in a few weeks.
You got an ETA in that episode?
And since I'm leveling Ranger now and I've got it marked as my secondary job, I'm hoping to get it soon. And then you guys will see me cry on stream again. I probably won't be streaming, but I'll well, that was like the clip from last time was basically me like oh, I got the assault. It's been 15 years. Like, but yeah. So that's the big thing for Summoner that I think is going to happen. Other things that I think will be coming. Honestly, I think that there needs to be adjustments to Grand Worms. Jormungand was fixed on the fly. Jormungand is now doing what we feel is pretty close to appropriate damage and kicking asses. Tiamat still needs to be upgraded. People with 50 fire resist should not be able to tank Tiamat. I mean, let's just be honest with each other. So I think that the resist sets need to be fixed. I think the damage that Tiamat is doing overall needs to be fixed. Those are my two big things. Summoner and the Grand Worms. I don't want to take up too much time, so let's spread the love. You guys,
Oh,
what do you guys think?
that's great. I love being able to see the in-game
that's cool.
content that I'll eventually get to in about 3 years.
3 to 6 business years. So, what do you think? What do you think's coming with 1.1?
I mean, I got a couple things that I have my eye on that I would like to see. I guess we'll take a step down in Endgame, back down to Sky. I recently joined. I didn't actually say this earlier. I actually joined an H&M LS myself, just a little over a week ago. So I am, we had claimed a behemoth yesterday and Genbu, not Genbu, freaking what's the turtle? Adamantoise. So so I'm kind of there. I'm kind of taking, stepping in. I mean, I'm only level 72 on my thief. I'll be 73 soon. But I've been doing some sky farming because that I can do pretty effectively at my level, just farming pops. And our link shell has grown, and we're one of the I'd say secondish wave of endgame link shells to kind of pop up, and we're already seeing new other endgame shells pop up. And
what link shell is it? I have to know.
I'm in demo.
Oh, wait.
You're in what?
Demo.
Oh, okay. They're not one of the poop ones that I know about, so you're good.
Okay, cool.
We're still friends. We can still hang out.
Wow. You said you joined an H&M shell, and I was like, fight.
Well, if it was one of the other two that he could have named, I would have been I would have had choice things to say, because, well, I'm not going to get into it. They cheat, but anyways, you're good. I've heard that demo wasn't a thing, and now they're becoming a thing, so good on you. Good on you.
I mean, I've been in a little over a week, and I've seen them actively trying to just be a better shell. So for sure, I can echo that. And anyway, so farming the pops, the traditionally competitive pops like Mother Globe, Ulikimi, Zapakna, they're just overcamped at all times. And I would personally. Yeah, so I would personally like to see something like a reduction in the timer. I don't know, maybe they go to add I don't know what they would do actually. I was thinking of the question marks that you might do for the Kings, but I'm not really on Kings right now. Just on Sky, I don't know, cut the timers in half or something. Just because the population of the server is so high, and there's a lot of people that did endgame back in the day are the sort of invested players that would want to return and play a private server 20 years later. So there's sort of the desire to be in Sky is a lot higher than it would have been on a 3,000 player pop server back in era. And I just think that concentration is starting to hit in Sky in a way that it just needs some sort of adjustment. And I'd like to see something happen in 1.1 with that. Whether an alternate way to obtain pop items or just some sort of change to the NMs themselves. So that's Sky Pops. The other thing that I would like, and for your guys' sake, since you're both paladins, DA.
Paladin and a half.
Okay.
There you go. There you go. That's more accurate.
Enlight, the scroll Enlight, the spell.
Oh boy.
Have either of you been? Do you have your eyes on it? Do you know what the price is currently?
It's
Do you know why
950K.
the price is so high, Quetch? Do you know why that happened?
I do, but go ahead, LTL. Give us your opinion here.
Well, it's not even an opinion. It's that scroll wasn't even found until like a month and a half ago, or a month ago. Like nobody knew how to get it, and
Right.
it's in Worm's Turn. That's the only BCNM that you can get. It is from Worm's Turn, and finally somebody ran it, found it, and then got the Enlight thing, and it was crazy because the first person who had it was like shouting for it. They sold it for like over $1 million, I think,
Right.
and then this guy had the audacity. He's like, I'm selling information on how we got it for like $1 million or whatever. And like
Right.
somebody paid this guy to tell him. And then the guy who paid just told everybody.
Yeah. Well, so the guy that paid, I actually know a little bit about this story. The guy that paid said, okay, you can tell. And the person who had the information then publicly gave it out as well. So it was like the guy who paid knew it was going public.
I see.
And even still, the scroll right now is going for 950K. So roughly what the very first scroll sold for is the current price. And why? And here's my real problem. I've ran this BCNM because there's a number of paladins in my link shell. We got one scroll. I think we got 2 scrolls. And then the 17th run, we got a 3rd scroll. We were fortunate. So we're talking 40 Beastman seals. And you need players to beat this actual BCNM. And it's looking like less than 10% drop rate for the people that I've talked to. I know somebody who went 0 for 22. They stopped running it. They started saving gil, and they bought the scroll for like 800K or something like that. So the other issue I think that the player base has is that Paladin is not great in that fight. Worm's Turn is a fight where there's like a 2 dozen worms or something. And the main strat is somebody, whether it's a tank or just the Black Mage. Well, okay, let's use the Black Mage. Black Mage will run in, they'll sleep gut all the worms, and then they run out of range. So the Black Mage now has hate on all these worms, and they try to cast like Aga spells in tier 4, and you just outrange them. Yeah. And just outrange them back and forth while a bunch of melees walk around killing all the worms. Well, they kill the boss in the center first, because that one I don't think sleeps. And then they kill the worms all in a circle, and then the BCNM ends. So Paladin isn't even that great in there. And it's just bottlenecking a lot of Paladins from having a really great spell. And I think the price, right now, the price as it is actually reasonable for the amount of drop rate that is in the BCNM. And I would like to see double the drop rate, bring the scroll down to 500K, 400K. Then you're looking at, then Black Mages go, oh yeah, welcome to our world.
Yeah, right now I think it's a little ridiculous. Like I'm sitting here going,
Yeah.
well, I need to save up $1 million just to buy one scroll.
So you could, Cal, you could take your seals. You could take 50 or 60. How many seals is it for Amphibian Assault? Has anybody done that BC yet?
Yeah, I've done it several times. That's the one that's the guaranteed ore.
Yeah. Is that
Yeah,
60?
that's a 60.
You could take 60 seals and go into Amphibian Assault. You get a guaranteed ore. Could be light or dark, or it could be one of the more valuable ores, or it could be like fire and it's like 130K or whatever. But you're getting like 130K to like 450K guaranteed on 60 seals. Compared to going to this BCNM where I literally have a friend who went 0 for 22 on a 40 seal fight.
It makes more sense to take 60 seals and turn it into money and just buy the damn scroll.
I want to thank you guys for ruining my spirits on Paladin, because I knew the Enlight situation was bad. I purposefully have not looked at the price.
Yeah.
I did not want to know. I did not want to see it. I just wanted to kind of progress, and when I have to, then dive into that. Now I know the shitstorm ahead of me if I continue to progress on the actual Paladin side of things. So I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
That's just for Enlight.
I have a pretty well-geared Paladin for 62, right? And I am missing one thing, and it's Enlight. And I do not have Enlight. And it irritates me every time I look at it, because I'm like, man, I really don't want to do that BCNM, because I heard the drop rate was bad. I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah,
but
like
I had
said,
heard it was pretty bad.
We got lucky on 3 for 17. And for your sake, for other Paladin's sake, I think doubling that drop rate is just good. It's goodwill, to the community of like, come on, It's a scroll. It's useful for the job. It's holding players back.
They need to do something with it because, like you said, no, I'm not even useful for that BCNM.
You're
on Paladin.
fine. But it's not like you like.
Not optimal.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna go in there with a great sword and smack worms. That's what's gonna happen.
And
Is that a euphemism? Sorry.
Golka.
Other than that, I have other than those things that I'd like to see changed. I think we'll see a spring event, like some
It's
kind
coming.
of. Oh, is there
Tell you
something
right now-
announced?
No, but look. So in the last, and I know I'm talking a lot here, and I do apologize, but like I know that in the last patch notes when they announced that they weren't coming out with 1.1, in there the verbiage of it is we've got something hopping right around the corner, or like something's like, the word hopping was used, and I was like, oh, that's the Easter event. So that should be my guess is that that's coming soon.
My bunny outfit. I'm gonna get my bunny outfit that I used on retail. Let's roll.
Speaking of events, did you guys see the April Fool stuff?
Oh yeah, I was very confused when I logged in as a Mithra.
So if you didn't see, and I know DA you were
Oh,
gone,
you were out.
That's why I'm asking. Please tell
Right,
me all
so-
about it.
So the April Fool's thing that, from what I saw, was you played in retail. You remember Balamore, the like demon like jester guy, the puppet master guy. So on April Fool's Day, when you logged in, you got a whisper from Balamore, and it was something ominous. He was like, "Oh, you're my puppet now, ha ha ha!" And basically, you were a mannequin. Like your player character was a mannequin, and it didn't necessarily have to be of the race that you were. I logged in as an elven, and I was like, why am I a Dalmal? So I logged in as
I was
an
a
elven.
Taru. I was like, why am I an acorn?
Like, why am I a little onion guy? So you could log in, and the funny thing was that every time you zoned, you changed into something different.
That's awesome.
And you like had like the facial features. You looked like a mannequin. You were wooden, basically. And every time you zoned, you got another whisper from Balamore. It was super ominous. Other things that they did, there were GMs handing out candy, and you could turn into the Dragon Quest slimes and like bounce around. There were GMs in Lower Juno that if you hit them up, they would let you PvP in Lower Juno.
Oh, I missed that.
My girlfriend killed a couple of her friends, being like, "Hey, turn on PvP," and she's the black mage with all the gear. She was just like, "Pow!" and killed a couple of her friends. And the other thing was they changed the character model for a lot of the HNMs to Odin.
That's right. We were at King Behemoth that night, and it was running around as Odin.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
I can't believe, and it was. I'm so mad I missed it.
A lot of people
my
were
goodness.
actually like super annoyed with the mannequin thing, not because it happened the first time, but every time you would zone, it would change, and you would get another message from Balamore. So you'd be running around as a Dalmal and zone, and you're an acorn, and then you zone again, and you're a Galka, and then you zone, and everybody's like, "This is kind of weird."
I see.
I was very confused.
I see zoning as an acorn, zoning as a Galka, and then zoning and being a black screen, and then
You're right, yeah. And if you responded to his whisper, he said something back to you. Like
So he talked
he
shit?
would talk smack.
He would say
talk
something
smack.
snarky to you. Yeah,
that's fucking awesome.
it's like, "I've said enough to you. Stop talking to me, mortal." It was like, okay.
That's amazing creativity, and I love that
cool.
they did that within 3 months of this being out. This is phenomenal.
I will say though, the changing in the message from Balamore was actually kind of cool because I knew I wasn't gonna black screen because I would hear the tell notification noise. As
So
I
you
was
knew it was
zoning.
working.
Those are phenomenal ideas to just implement like that. And how long was it for? Was it 24 hours or something like that?
No,
or
it
what?
was not even the full day. They took the
Yeah.
server down, so they put it in early in
in
the
the
day.
morning.
Yeah, and then like by like 5 or 6 my
6?
time Pacific, it was like they turned it off.
It was pretty quick.
That's great for knowing that they actually have not just the capability, the accessibility of being able to kind of flip those on, flip those off, and it sounds like they worked pretty proficiently. So it's got again a compliment to the development team and what they're doing behind the scenes and the things that they're adding in and being able to spice up this 20-year-old game. That I can't believe I missed it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't trade my Hawaii experience for anything. You hear that, hun? But no, I saw screenshots and I was so confused what people were talking about. Thank you.
DA, what are you thinking with 1.1?
I'm not in the extra pops or the end game or the sky, obviously. I'm way behind everybody. I'm just doing the leveling, trying to get Gil. And I was like, I made 100K in Gilsba. And you guys are like, it's 1,000,000 for Enlight. I'm like, oh, day is ruined again. I thought I was on a high note. There's a couple of small things I'm hoping for. Number one, I don't know if they're ever going to do this, but I know as you progress in stories and missions and unlocking things, like when I get my LB1 done, because I still haven't done that, I would unlock storage. I'm looking forward to more expansions or places to be able to store equipment. And I understand with the unlocking, but I want something more of the wardrobe later on to be able to kind of grow with. I know I'm leveling a lot of jobs right now. Trust me, half of them are naked because I'm not going to go through that inventory swap just yet. But I'd like more accessibility for my storage. Just something extra.
After having completed COP and almost done with Xylart, I have, I think, 60 slots in wardrobe 1 and 2.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know if that helps, but that's like 120 slots you can grab from without going into your Mog house.
That's not bad at all. I personally, the way I usually do my slots is row 1 is my weapon, my shield, my ranged. That is my wardrobe 1. Wardrobe 2 is my head, my neck, my earrings. Wardrobe 3 is, and you see how it's stacked with the 4 slots that we have. So I'd love to be able to have more wardrobe, at least even if it's just a couple slots in the later on ones.
Well, what do you think's going to happen with TOAU? I mean, obviously,
Agreed.
it'll be like wardrobe 3 will start getting slots, and I mean, the thing that I want is the case and the sack. Like, give me my case and my sack.
That's another thing I was kind of referring to. Any place to be able to put stuff. I would love to be able to have extra storage somewhere. So it's more of when we're talking about hopes and dreams of 1.1. I just want to have something to put somewhere because I'm starting to have to the rotation of me mailing myself stuff, just to be able to keep up with the inventory. And speaking of inventory, after that Gelsba, my second thing that I'd like to see implemented is the crystal storage. To be able to store your crystals on the guy, because coming out of Gelsbo with those 21 levels, I had 75 stacks of fire and dark crystals.
What?
Fire and dark?
Yeah.
Fire and dark.
And you only made 100K that day?
I haven't sold them all.
Oh.
I made 100K that day. Because of that rotation.
I think, right?
It's 1K right now for fire and 3K, just over 3K for dark crystal stacks.
Wow.
So I had 75 stacks, and I was again having to mail them to myself. I filled up all my inventory because I was not selling them as fast as I was making them. So I want the crystal guy to be able to store these. I'd love to get into crafting, but I'm not going to keep a crap ton of crystals on me just for the a chance of feeling in the mood to craft. So I want to be able to kind of put them in and be able to save. Again, that would be going back to my original point of the storage. So I'd love to be able to have the crystal storage guy there. And my third thing, and this one's, again, those two are more just what I'd like in my hopes and dreams. I would like War to have something to help with its tanking abilities, because I know Ninja's been kind of recently, but it's not that bad. It's still bad enough where it's noticeable by the Ninja main crew. I personally was never a Ninja main, so I don't know the feeling in between the two, but it's enough where people are considering War kind of the number 2 tank. And I'd like it to be able to have a little bit more something beneficial, like Defender, when you provoke, Defender spikes and it's a damage mitigation on there or something like that. I just want something bonus added to Warrior to make it a good, cheaper version of a Paladin. So we have more of an alternative and maybe lighten the load for the amount of Paladins that are that higher tier seeking party. I know Cal talked about having 40 Paladins seeking between 50 and 60 at one point in time.
Yeah.
And
it's
I
like
know
all the Paladins hit the same range at the same time.
So I'd like War to have something else to be able to just help with its tanking abilities to make it a more viable option besides the number 1 and then everything else be in a distant third place.
You mean besides having 8 enmity on their body AF?
True.
Because that's just ridiculous.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It
Holy
is.
cow.
And when they pop sneak attack and Stormwind, it is a lot. Even as a paladin, you're like, can I please have it back, please? So
You're
for
sneak attacking
mine,
with Stormwind, how often, like, how much longer is that thing living? What I want to know.
not long, because
Yeah, I
they're hitting
didn't
like
think so.
1,200 damage a weapon.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Like, that thing is getting deleted.
But for mine personally, it leads into DAs, and I don't know if anybody else has noticed it, because LTL and Quetch are further along than we are, right? I'm kind of getting into the in-game area. But I've noticed that Enmity's a little wonky, in my opinion. It seems like it doesn't quite work the way that I remember it working. Like, I can provoke, sentinel, and then flash midway through, and one weapon skill from a Dark Knight will rip that instantly. And it doesn't seem quite right. I might be wrong. My memory might be a little off.
I think healing
Or-
plays a big part in that though too, doesn't it? Like you have to like be healing a lot.
Yeah, so you're constantly healing yourself and everything else. But even then, I'll hit it, Sentinel, Flash, and then let's say, like tonight, I was partying with a Dark Knight and a Monk. They weapon skill create a skill chain. I cannot get that back. I can cure 3 me, I can cure 4 me, I can cure 4 the Monk, I can Voke again, and it will just stay on them.
That's why you need to always have somebody with trick attack as a paladin. You need to like stack that party with the trick attack and be like, look, you just need to fucking trick attack me, and if that happens, you'll never lose. Hey, I know that's a band-aid, but it definitely
Well,
works.
It also only works because we had a thief with us, but the thief wasn't always trick attacking with TP, so they weren't weapon skilling. They were just trick attacking with a normal hit, right?
Oh yeah.
Which is basically useless.
Sounds like
It's
they
a
need to listen to
Sarah
episode 1.
Well, it's a
Yeah,
guaranteed hit for them, and they do like what, like 200 versus 60, so
Yeah,
it helps
like
the numbers
100
for them a
per-
bit. But
It's fluffing their parse. But other than that, it's not helping me with Enmity, man.
it's true.
But I've just noticed some weird little idiosyncrasies with some of the abilities, like Dark Knight popping Last Resort or Soul Eater seems to draw like instant enmity without them even doing anything.
They have a lot of
It's
enmity
like a little
attached
mini
to them.
provoke.
I think it is
Yeah.
roughly half of provoke each ability. I think it's something like
But
700.
it shouldn't rip that hard, in my opinion.
Well,
Yeah.
it's the same thing if you have a ranger and they use sharp shot and
Barrage.
barrage.
Yeah.
Like even before they attack, that like they have so much enmity just from those moves that I can pull off a paladin just by popping those 2 moves without even using them.
Thank you.
I can rip him.
Thank you for calling out Ranger on there, because I haven't had a problem. I'm behind him a little bit on here because obviously his hand-me-downs. Otherwise, I'm never going to have any gear. But the only problem I've had thus far with Hate is a Ranger, and he was pulling it from me left and right. And you being a paladin, you're always doing something. It's the Voke, it's the heal, it's the cast, whatever it is. And I was spamming, and I could not keep it from that Ranger. He was just yanking it left and right. And I feel you, and I think I might be on the front end of it, and you might be in the middle of that range, but I feel you, Cal.
Oh, you know what would really help with that, don't you?
Hmm.
I know something that would really, really help you.
Is it a spell?
It's a spell called Enlight. You may want to look into picking that up.
You want to loan me 950k LTO?
That has enmity and it does extra damage.
Yep.
No, I don't. I want to lend you 900k.
Gelsba Outpost has graced me with 450 Beastman Seals, Cal, if you ever want to get going on this.
Wow, 450 B seals.
By the way, just a little note. I think it's 5-minute window. If you get a Beastman Seal drop, you actually do not get another drop for 5 minutes unless you zone and zone back. So if you get a drop, zone back, kill another until you get that drop, and keep doing that, you can stack your Beastman Seals quicker. So I'm sitting on 450 in the bank right now.
If you do that as a ranger with a gun and you go into one zone, kill something, get a Beastman Seal, go to the next zone, kill something, get a Beastman Seal, and go back. I know people who have over 1,000 Beast Seals from just doing that.
Well,
I can tell you, if you sit at the Westron Eastron gate, even if you're not a ranger or anything like that, and you just zone between the two and kill one thing in front of each gate, it's like constant Beastman Seals.
See, what we're doing right now is we're trying to get more people Beastman Seals to get more people farming that Enlight to
Enlight.
drive down the price. By the time
Oh,
I get
man.
up there, it'll be 500k.
Right.
I'll spend 800, but by the time you get up there, it'll be 500.
It'll be 500 gil, because by the time I get up there, it's just 3 years later.
But I don't know if they could do anything to help with that, like lower the enemy generation of some of those or something like that. But it just seems a little off. Like it needs a little bit of tuning to me, because I don't remember Rip and Hate that badly. But that's the only thing I've really noticed that I think might come with 1.1, because I'm not the only tank that's noticed that War Scarred has complained as well, and Sea Tiger, because they're both paladins too, and they both notice the same thing. Once you break 60, it's like a tug of war with enmity the entire time. It used to be Sentinel. Yeah, you were pretty set for at least a little while. No, not anymore. It's an interesting thing.
You're hoping for them to look at the numbers or kind of adjust that?
I'm hoping that they adjust it in some way. Either create more enmity from the abilities, like create a little bit more enmity for, let's say, Flash or Sentinel generation or anything like that. Because Sentinel's damage negation is already perfect.
Yeah.
I go from taking 100 damage to like 7.
How much
But
plus enmity do you have access to right now?
I
On
have
gear.
6
Okay.
with my AF. If I was smart and I wanted to take some money, I'd buy the back piece that pops gives me more MP and enmity.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's +5.
Yeah, I think it just kind of stinks at your level range because that plus enmity is I'm pretty sure +1 enmity is +1 threat generation, basically. So if you had 100 plus enmity, you'd be doubling your amount of hate generated with your actions. So like, yeah, you just have very little access to plus enmity. So even if you wanted to like put an extra gil or time questing a piece or whatever, you really don't even have much access to anything. So it could be
Yeah,
you're
not
remembering
until
more from your like 75 days where you had more plus enmity. I don't know.
And merited. You can merit that,
And
can't
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
yes, you can merit your enmity. Yeah, because I did have enmity merits and high-end 75 gear at the time, so maybe I'm just complaining for nothing. It's perfectly fine.
It's a
Back in my
valid
day.
complaint. Well, it's a valid complaint. I mean, if at your level you're experiencing that issue, then it's something that should be addressed other than just get better gear, noob. Like, I mean, it should be something that's looked into if it's that bad. I mean, I don't know. I've never leveled a tank in this game ever. Unless you count Plumage, who can also tank if they need to. But I've never leveled anything that's an actual tank.
But yeah, that's all I'm looking for in 1.1. It's just a little love for the enmity generation for tanks. Because I can only imagine as a ninja that's 100 times worse.
Oh, yeah,
Like
ninjas
how
can't keep. I've not been with a ninja that's been able to keep aggro outside of a thief tricking on them.
Yeah.
I've not seen a ninja that can keep enmity or hate after a few weapon skills.
You're a DPS.
So basically you got paladin, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Why I want
But
the
yeah,
little love
that's
for the
all I'm
war.
hoping for. That's it. But have you guys noticed any like weird glitches, like funny glitches or kind of strange things that have happened?
Yes. So, have you guys ever been playing and your character goes into T pose and your weapon is between your feet?
Yes.
If that happens to you and you do slash jump, like your character starts moving around like a zombie from Resident Evil, like, and it just keeps going and you like move around and it's one of the craziest things you'll ever see. So if that ever happens to you,
Slash
make
jump.
sure you slash jump and you will freak out all your friends, I promise.
Dude.
Warscard had that happen on his stream the other night.
So funny.
And it looked like he was doing the chicken dance because his
So
arms were just
funny.
sitting there going up and down, up and down, up and down.
So funny.
It's pretty entertaining. And then for me, Tom Zorikana the other night, he zoned into Windy, and you know how you usually get like the partial black screen where you're kind of like stuck and everything around you is black, but you can see like player characters.
Yeah.
His was in Windy, and it wasn't black screened. He was just under the map, but he could see everybody running around him, and it was like daylight and everything. And he
Wow.
could still move around.
I had that one above Sandoria. I've also had it on a Chocobo above Sandoria. And that one blows because you either got to warp out or do slash unstuck, and it takes 30 minutes for it to unstick you and warp you back home. I actually got a black screen on a boat from Juneau to Sandy the other day. That one was fun because when I logged back in, it panned around with the camera and acted like the boat was coming in and just sat there on a screen with me on the dock, and it just chilled there. And I was like, and then it, welcome, you're in Sandoria. But it had the animation just like waiting on it. So it was fun. It was the first time I black screened that way.
You mentioned Chocobo. I had this one time where I took a Chocobo into Sarmo campaign from the NPC inside of Port Juneau, and when I exited into the zone, I was like a third of the way into the zone. Instead of just like through the entrance to the zone and then like you go and you go wherever you want to go, I was like already a third of the way through the zone. I was like, well, it's about where I wanted to be anyway. So
I had the same thing happen in Sandy. I left South Sandy Mog House and I popped out in front of the AH,
yeah.
like standing in front of it, and I'm like, what the?
I'll take that
It
every day
happened
of the
to me
week.
today. Like I left my Mog house in Lower Juneau and when when it zoned in or when it loaded, I was in front of Neptune's Spire. I was like, oh, okay, thanks, sweet.
I mean, conveniently for all of us, it's moved you kind of where you wanted to go anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a fast travel.
I've not
But,
experienced that one yet. I feel left out.
There's some pretty funny ones. Like, a lot of people get upset with the black screens and stuff like that, but I haven't had as many lately. So I think they've been working pretty hard on fixing those.
The only black screens I get is when I'm in an alliance doing something and I get warped back and I'm still in the alliance. I would say probably 7 to 8 times out of 10, I'm loading into everything black, but I can see the people. And if I like move or type anything in game, like my client just crashes, like hard locks and crashes. But
Okay.
I was gonna say, if you shut down, then it resets. But
I had another cool one with Warscard last night. It was me, Zorikana, and Warscard in a party, and me and Zorikana went to like drop so we could level sync to each other to EXP at the same time that Warscard tried to swap leader. And so it dropped the party but left our names underneath the Warscard's HP bar and his name, and they would not go away. No matter what he did, they would not go away. And then as soon as he zoned, he black screen. But me and Zori were fine.
Triggered. You triggered him.
Dude, when I went
He's
to go
like, "You broke my game."
When I went to go do Divine Might, I was a party leader in the Alliance, and I had typed in PCMD invite and a person. They were like, "Quetch, get this person." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I did PCMD add this person, and then like a minute later, I look and I see they're in a different party in the Alliance. So I was like, "Oh, the other person must have grabbed them," and didn't think anything of it until they're like, "Okay, so you have 5 out of 6. Can you get blah blah blah?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll try to add that person." Okay, it wouldn't let me add that person. Something happened where the first person I had tried to invite left their party, and I tried to invite them again. Okay, so that first person that I tried to PCMD add left their party. They were like gonna get into my party. I typed PCMD add that person. They typed /join. It joined the other party.
interesting. Did it like fuck your whole alliance and you had to like reset the whole thing?
It 100% did.
That brings up a tip, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but like,
no, go ahead.
If you're ever in an alliance and you're doing something, make sure that, and you need somebody to drop or you want to add somebody, never, ever, ever drop the person. Make them leave your party. If you drop them from your alliance, you can screw up your alliance big time and like ghost the alliance. And like if stuff drops, like it just hits the floor. So make sure. This is a tip for everyone. If you're in an alliance for any reason and you need to swap members, those people need to drop the party, or if they're leaving the alliance, like the party leader for like that's in the alliance needs to drop. Never ever ever drop somebody from your alliance or drop a party from your alliance, because chances are you're going to screw it up.
That's a good tip.
That's good to know, because I didn't know that one.
Yeah, neither did I.
And I would be very irate if we went to do something and something dropped that I wanted, and then all of a sudden everybody just gets screwed out of it.
Yep. Another funny bug was we were doing COP and we were fighting Promathia. This happened like earlier this week or last week. And so we get in, and so I don't know if you're familiar with the fight, but you're fighting Promathia himself, like the end boss of COP. It's the final fight, and Prish and Celteus are supposed to be there. Like, Quetch knows this because he just did it
yesterday. Yeah.
So on our first attempt, our first fight, we didn't lose. First time we fought it, we went in, and neither Prish nor Celteus were in the first phase. They're supposed to be there. There's 2 phases. They're supposed to be there both times because they do things that are kind of important to the fight. So Prish and Celteus did not show up at all. We fought that we killed the first phase. It was a little bit more difficult, but we did it. And then the second phase, neither of them are there again. And we're fighting through. We get very close to the end. Celteus shows up at the very, very end of the fight and like does a couple of things. We're like, cool, thanks for showing up. And then we win, right? We kill Promathia. It's like done. And we just sat there in the BC. Like it never ended. We just sat there. We had to wait for like 8 or 9 minutes for the BC to time out. And it timed out. It kicked us out of the BC and said we failed. So we were failed, right? Like we beat it, but we were failed. So we had to like put in a GM ticket. We're like, WTF, GM. When we get out of the BC, there's a whole other group out there. And it turns out that their BC had 2 Prishes and 2 Celteuses. And they still got screwed. So we had to have a GM come one of the members in our party didn't need the kill, so the GM joined our party. Got to see his health and his mana and stuff. Health was like 9999. Mana was like $4,000. I was like, Jesus Christ, can I have a piece of that? Anyways, GM comes in and we did the fight with the GM. Like, we didn't really have to participate, but the GM didn't just come in and like finger of death the mob or anything. Actually fought the mob. Like, was doing like fast blade and shit on Promathia. And it took a while, but eventually he killed it and then we got the win. But I thought that was a pretty crazy bug that we ran into. We just want to be done. We want our fucking ring. And we have to fucking wait for a GM to come kill this fight for us.
What an epic conclusion to change to Promathia, though. And you need to get back to streaming if that shit continues to happen like that. Because
Right?
I would tune in a heartbeat to watch you fight the end of COP with a GM in your hip.
Yep,
That's
GM
awesome.
in the party. It was cool.
That would be pretty cool. Remember we ran into GM DA on top of when we were doing Shadow Lord. There was a problem with the BC and M up there.
Yeah, he also clapped 2 people.
Yeah, he also, yeah.
Yeah, there was a problem with not the Shadow Lord fight, but the KSM fight that actually happened in there. And he, I think, went in, like what you're saying, he went in with the group again to be able to kind of clear it and let him get the drops from it, even though obviously it's a different chest, but they get their reward from it. So it's now something that we see happening more often because it's not just a fix for it, but I think it's a great experience to be able to rock with a GM beside you. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, but there's so many people on the server and so much other stuff that they could be doing.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
and these guys are all volunteers. Like, they could be at home eating dinner with their family. Instead, they're getting like, I don't know if they have a pager from like the 90s or whatever. There's like 911 on the pager. And they're just like, oh my God, I got to run somebody through Promathia. I'll be right back on.
COP42.
kids.
COP42 scrolls across their pager screen.
It's like beeping 911. Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I
Those
think
guys are
unless anybody else has any kind of funny glitches, that kind of wraps up episode 2 of our podcast. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in and listening to us, and hope you guys enjoyed the content, and we'll be happy to make you even more episodes in the future. And we look forward to seeing you guys in Zeta.
Don't forget to join the Discord, guys.
Peace out.
Love to have you there.
Link below.
Adios.